Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Learn to Program. I am Naveen Mishra and I'll teach you how to easily program yourself and learn programming. I'll start from the basics. So I'll start what is computer and what are the components of the computer. Let's start with hardware. The computer is basically categorized into two components. One is hardware and second is software. What is the hardware? The tangible and physical components that of your computer like RAM, motherboard, microprocessor, and keyboard and mouse. The physical entities that you see is the hardware. Software. What is a software? Software is a collection of programs written in programming language like C, C++, and Java. What is a program? Programs are collection of statements named as some.cpp, some.java, and some.c. What is a program? It is a collection of statement. A statement is a line that ends with a semicolon. Basically, software are set of instructions written to the compiler, written to the computers. The instructions ends with a semicolon, which are called a statement. The statements are collectively called a program, and when multiple programs are combined, then they are called softwares. The programs are generally have a name like some.cpp, some.java, some.c. CPP is for C++ programs, .java for Java programs, and .c for C language programs. Whenever we write a program in any language, in most of the languages, that is C, C++, Java, even PHP, we end every line with a, sorry for that, we end every line with a semicolon. For example, int a, printf, and getch. We have to end every line with a semicolon, just like in English, we end every sentence with a full stop, or in any other language, there is a symbol to end a sentence. Now let's talk about what are the types of software. So softwares can be categorized in three types based on their working: application software, system software, and utility software. When someone buys a laptop, if they have the operating system, they will install some softwares based on their requirements. For example, MS Office, Google Chrome, and Adobe Reader. These softwares are not required for the working of system but are required by the user for their own work. On the opposite hand, the system softwares are the softwares that are required for the efficient working of your system. Your system won't be able to work without these softwares. The main system softwares are operating system like Windows, Linux, or Macintosh, and device drivers. Device drivers are like graphic card driver and LAN card driver. Utility softwares on Windows operating system, generally the users install an antivirus that is used for the protection and security of their system. So this is another category of utility softwares. If we talk about the softwares and how they behave, generally a computer have a CPU which is called the brain of the computer, which have several other components like RAM where your program data is stored, hard disk where your secondary data is stored, same as CD, and processor. Processor is the brain of the computer who performs all the calculations. To interact with the CPU, you have a system software. For example, Windows. To interact with system software, you have application software. For example, MS Word. To interact with your application software, you are the user. So if I'm a user that interacts with application software like MS Word that are further installed on a system software Windows, which is further installed on your CPU computer. If we talk about this computer and the CPU understands only one language called the binary language. Computer understands only one language called the binary language, which is also called machine language or row level language. Now you might be thinking that we type English, we type Java program, we type C program, but generally at the end it is converted into a machine language. How's that? Because computer understands only binary. But the question arises, why binary? Whoever invented the computer, why not they prefer a natural language like English, Spanish, or French? Why binary? This is because computer is an electronic device. It is not a natural device like us. It is an electronic device which needs some electric charge. And the charge can have only two possibilities, positive and negative charge, which can be termed as 0 and 1, or high or low, or set or reset. So computers can only understand binary language since they are the electronic device. The computer inventors Charles Babbage and Alan Turing were responsible for developing this binary language, and based on this, all the digital devices have been developed. When the binary number systems were introduced, we started using them. For example, one input, we used one electronic wire. Using this, we were able to create electronic buttons like switch, which can be turned on and off. Then we thought about combining two inputs. The first input is named as A and the second input is named as B. The possible combinations of these two wires can be both 0, that is both don't have any current, 0 1 B have current, 1 0 A have current, 1 1 AB both have current. At this level, electronic gates were introduced. Electronic gates have basic gates like AND gate, OR gate, and NOT gate. In basic gates, we were able to perform binary multiplication using AND gate and binary addition using OR gate. And using NOT gate, we were able to complement the output, complement the input. For example, A's complement will be opposite of A, that is A have 0, then A's complement will be 1, and vice versa, A have 1, then A's complement will have 0. Alright, so we were able to perform multiplication and addition. Then we thought about increasing these inputs. So we thought about three inputs like A, B, and C. Using this, adders and subtractors were introduced. Those who knew about digital electronics or have studied this subject, for example, computer systems or any other assembly language, they will be familiar with this adders and subtractors. Then there was no limit of inputs and outputs, named as n inputs and n outputs. Using these, devices like mux, demux, and encoder decoder are created. With n inputs and n outputs, the binary number, which was simple 0 and 1, increased to n digits. Since n digits, for example, this 101010, so this number system is quite heavy, and for humans, we will find it hard to remember. We find it very hard to remember the 10 digits phone number, then it was very difficult for us to remember this binary number system. Because of this, the problem arises. The problem is we humans won't be able to understand your binary language, so we needed a language which will be called high level language or user level language. But on the other hand, computer says that they will only understand binary, low, or machine level language. So a gap arises between the two senders and receivers. To understand this situation better, let's say if I talk and only knew English, and the receivers or the YouTube watchers only understand the Hindi language, then we won't be able to communicate with each other. To remove this gap of English and Hindi language, we might call a third person who's able to translate my English to Hindi and vice versa, so that my YouTube viewers and me can interact with each other. Similar to that, in computers, translators were introduced. The main task of translator is to convert the human language into machine language and vice versa. Generally, three types of translators are used: assembler, compiler, and interpreter. The first attempt to remove the binary language and use some other language, assembly language, is introduced, which is converted to binary language using an assembler. The assembly language is used to create microprocessors and microcontrollers. An assembly language look like this: start, move the contents of B register into A register, add the content of A registers with C, HLT represents the halt, and so on. Compiler is used in programming languages like C, C++, Java, and PHP, whereas interpreter is used in programming languages like Java, VB, VB.NET, Python, and C Sharp. Now let's study about what is the difference between compiler and interpreter. So, difference between compiler and interpreter. To understand this difference, I have written a program in C language. Let's see this. So I have some header files like hash include conio.h, void main, and so on.